Details have emerged about the personal conditions Meghan Markle reportedly set before agreeing to travel to the United Kingdom, and the revelations are reigniting debates about her relationship with the British royal family, her priorities as a public figure, and the intense scrutiny she faces from global media. The conditions, which involve a combination of logistical arrangements and personal safeguards, illustrate the complexities that accompany Meghan's return to the UK, a place that has long been both a professional stage and an emotional battleground in her public life. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, travels internationally less frequently than some other members of the royal family, but her trips are always closely watched by palace insiders, the press, and a global audience. Her earlier visits to Britain, whether for family events or ceremonial occasions, have often come with intense attention around security, privacy, media behavior, and how she is received by the public. For this visit, it appears she has sought to strike a balance between personal comfort, safety considerations, and maintaining some degree of control over how her presence is managed. A central element of her reported conditions involves privacy and personal space. Sources suggest that Meghan is keenly focused on ensuring that her movements while in the UK are not subject to intrusive public exposure. This includes requests relating to transportation, accommodation, and how public details about her itinerary are shared. In past visits, Meghan and her husband, Prince Harry, have expressed frustration with how their travel plans were leaked or widely publicized, contributing to unwanted attention and speculation. For Meghan, who has spoken openly about her mental health and the pressures of constant scrutiny, these privacy concerns are deeply personal rather than merely logistical. Another reported stipulation centers on media conduct. Meghan's relationship with the press, especially tabloid media in the UK, has long been fraught with tension. Critics argue that aspects of her public life and personal history have been unfairly exaggerated or misrepresented, causing unnecessary strain and distress. As a result, she is said to have requested a framework for media engagement that limits what is shared publicly, particularly around private events or movements. This may include restricted press access, delay or control over release of photos and video, and clearly defined moments where media coverage is invited rather than permitted to flourish unchecked. For Meghan, these conditions are seen as a protective measure aimed at reducing hostile interactions and preserving dignity. Security arrangements also appear to be a key priority. In Meghan's previous travel to Britain, security concerns were at the center of disagreements with UK authorities, particularly regarding protective detail for her and her family. While those disputes involved legal complexities and debates over taxpayer-funded protection, the broader underlying issue was one of safety and perception that Meghan and her children could be vulnerable without sufficient protective measures. For this trip, Meghan's conditions reportedly include specific expectations around how her security is coordinated, who is involved, and how risks are assessed. While exact details are not public, the emphasis on security reflects not only her concern for her own well-being, but also for her husband and children, who are now part of her public identity. Beyond logistics and media management, there are also reportedly personal boundaries she wishes to maintain. These may include limitations on official engagements, timings of public appearances, and the degree of direct contact with certain members of the royal family. Meghan's estrangement from the core working royals has been a subject of discussion for years, and these reported preferences indicate that she wants to navigate the visit on her own terms, without feeling pressured or obligated into traditional expectations of royal duty. This approach reflects a desire to control her own narrative and maintain emotional agency in a context where she has often felt scrutinized or sidelined. Critics of Meghan's conditions argue that setting such terms for a visit to a country so closely tied to her former role as a senior royal can be seen as controversial. Some observers suggest that public figures, especially those with previous ties to national institutions, should be willing to be more flexible when it comes to public engagements and media access. They contend that such conditions may fuel perceptions of celebrity entitlement or create unnecessary friction at a time when focus should be on healing family relationships and bridging divides. Supporters, on the other hand, emphasize that Meghan is simply advocating for her comfort and safety in an environment that has not always been welcoming. figures assert more control over how they are seen and treated. Whether through social media management, controlled press releases, or personal conditions for travel, contemporary public personalities increasingly seek to define their own terms rather than passively accept the traditional roles laid out for them. As the trip approaches, there is still much that could change. Plans can shift, conditions can be amended, and negotiations often occur behind closed doors long before any public statement is made. What remains clear is that Meghan's reported stipulations reflect not just logistical concerns, but deeper emotional and psychological preferences, shaped by experience, perception, and the enduring pressure of public life. Ultimately, whether these conditions are seen as reasonable or controversial depends largely on perspective. For some, Meghan's approach might seem like a natural extension of personal autonomy. For others, it may highlight tensions between private wishes and public expectation. But one thing is certain. Even before her arrival in the UK, Meghan Markle's reported conditions have reignited debate about privacy, family, media, and the evolving relationship between contemporary figures and the institutions they once served.